It is with a great pleasure that I welcome a seemingly lost cause to share his story of divine mercy with us today. Welcome, Father.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. All right. So, Father, thank you for praying and asking St. Joseph to pray for us, because before I start, I want to tell you about something that is, oh my goodness, I'm so excited about this that I wish that I had it available already to give to you. So I'm writing so many books. I'm writing like a book a year that my religious community is like, slow it down. You know, they're like, you're writing too much. Well, I think my best one is yet to come, and I want to tell you about it because it's 10 months away, but it is going to rock the church. It is going to rock the world. Do you know what it's going to be? Consecration to St. Joseph. Oh yeah. It is going to be phenomenal. Would you believe in the 2,000-year history of the church, we've never had a huge movement of consecration to St. Joseph? What have we been doing, right? I mean, this is like the greatest guy after the Blessed Virgin Mary, and he's like stuffed in a corner. You know, we forget about him, and that's not right. I'm going to change that. So what I want you to do is to remember this, because I don't have anything to give you about it. The book is done. I finished it. It's written. But I have to get in line at the publishers with how that all works. So I'm just praying about it, and I'm getting the word out. So I started a Facebook blog. Okay, I ditched Facebook 4 years ago because that thing was horrible, too much drama, right? Seriously. So, but now I'm back, not as a personal one, but to promote this. So it's called Consecration to St. Joseph with Father Calloway. So if you're on Facebook, go to that, because I post something every day, and I will do that for the next 10 months to get the world ready for what's coming. And I'm not kidding. You have no idea what is coming with this book. It's going to be revolutionary, okay? So go to that Facebook blog, Consecration to St. Joseph with Father Calloway. All right. So how many of you have heard my story before? All right. Good percentage. How many of you have not? No shame. Oh, even more. Sweet. Yes. All right. So I got a microphone. I'm privileged to be up here and to talk to you. But what I want you to know is that it's not about me. I'm nothing special. God doesn't love me any more than he loves you or your husband, who's probably got issues, unless you're married to a really good one, okay? I'm not Padre Pio. I don't read souls, so don't panic, okay? But I live on this planet, and I'm aware that many marriages right now are not in a good way. And your husband, probably for a good chunk of you, probably thinks about you doing this today again. Don't buy too many books, okay? Because you probably do a lot of churchy stuff, okay? So I'm going to get you in trouble with all the plastic you've been throwing at me over here, okay? Or you've got children who are messed up. Actually, I know you do, because I've already been told about 20 of them, okay, when I was signing books. Oh, Father, pray for my son, pray for my daughter, pray for her. I know, I get it. So I want you to remember, when you hear my story, to have a message of hope, okay? Because I'm about to make your children look like saints after you hear my story. Why God did what he did for me, I don't know. I'm nothing special. He's just so good. And so now I go around and I tell this story to give people hope and a message of mercy, because it's a wounded world. You know that. You know that. Okay, so when I was born, I wasn't born into a Christian household of any kind or any other religion. My parents did not believe in God. They were not Buddhists. They were not into, you know, putting hot rocks on their belly button like people do in Sedona, Arizona to find nirvana in their feng shui. You know, cracks me up how lame we are today with this stuff, right? If I arrange my furniture, I'll get good energy. Get a life, right? It's hilarious, man. So I just shocked some of you, like, but I do that. No, well, stop, okay? It's silly. So just open the curtains, man. You'll get some light, okay? So my parents were into nothing at all. And I wasn't baptized, I wasn't taught these things, but when I was growing up as a little boy, I heard about Jesus, right? You'd have to be living on another planet not to hear about Jesus. But Jesus to me as an American boy was like the Easter bunny, like the tooth fairy, like some little fat dude that came down a chimney once a year and ate your cookies and your milk and then left presents. But it wasn't real. You know, it was a fairy tale, and it was a cartoon to me. Jesus was a cartoon. Because I remember my babysitter when I was a kid, which was TV, right? Saturday and Sunday mornings, I sat in front of that thing and I watched Bugs Bunny and Popeye and Scooby-Doo. And every now and then I'd be flipping through the channels and I'd see some dude holding a Bible who was like really weird, because he was like, glory, glory, hallelujah, in the name of Jesus. That was weird, right? What is that all about? But that dude, between the cartoons, talked about somebody who walked on water and came back from the dead. And I'm like, okay, whatever, right? I mean, when you're a little kid, you buy into that because, you get presents and, a day off of school. But when you're an adult, if you still think that people walk on water or come back from the dead, like that coyote, that bird killed that coyote so many times with an anvil on the head, and he always came back. But it's a cartoon. I mean, they can do that. So Christianity to me was fairy tale. That's not true. And this adult who's saying this is just hard up for cash. He needs to get a real job, but he somehow got on TV, and now he just tells people, be healed in the name of Jesus. 1-800, give me all your money. That was Christianity to me. These people didn't have a real job, and they were just living a cartoon. They were kids who never grew up. So I wanted to stay as far away as I could from anything to do with religion, especially Christianity. So my mother's marriage fell apart when I was a young boy. It was a horrible marriage. She remarried. That marriage fell apart, and then she remarried again, so 3 times. So I had 3 fathers by the time I was 10 years old, and none of my fathers were St. Joseph, okay? They were not holy men of virtue. They were men of the world, and that's the example that I was given, and by most of the other men in my life as well. It was a really bad example of what it meant to be a man. As a matter of fact, my grandfather was married 7 times. Actually 8, because he remarried like number 3, I mean, it was strange. My uncle, who had the most beautiful wife ever, okay, such a lovely lady, but he was a player. He's always said he was working overtime. Yeah, you're doing a little something. You ain't working overtime, homie. Everybody knows what you're doing. You got this beautiful wife, and you're putting in overtime. Everybody knows what you're doing. And to me, that meant it doesn't matter how beautiful a woman that you have, they're all available to you. That's what being a man, I thought, meant. So that's how I grew up. And that's actually how all my friends grew up, okay? I didn't have one single friend who was a Christian or a devout Christian. Not one. Now, my third father brought something new into my life when I was a young boy. A new last name. So do you remember what my last name is? Calloway, right? I like it because my biological father's last name that I had up until that point was Croc. Yeah. Brutal, okay? Thank you for adoption, so he legally adopts me, I get his last name, and I get baptized. Why? Because my parents wanted to do it? No, they didn't want to do it at all. They weren't into that. But my grandparents, my new grandparents, because I got grandparents all over the place, my new ones, they said, you baptized, or you adopted him, you've got to get him baptized. That boy's never been baptized. So I was baptized in the Episcopalian Church in Southern Virginia, okay, down in Norfolk, Virginia, because my third father was a military officer. All I remember about my baptism was some dude dressed funny, poured water over my face, really weird, and then we went outside and we ate donuts, really good jelly-filled donuts. That was church to me. That's all. How many relatives were invited to my baptism? None. How many pictures were taken? None. Why waste film on this? All my parents wanted was the 8x11 certificate to shut up the grandparents. Okay, we did it, be happy, zip it, okay, we got them baptized. So, we never went to church, we never prayed or any of that. As a military family, we started to move a lot. So we moved from Norfolk to Los Angeles, and then we moved to San Diego, which was paradise and still is. The place is amazing. And when we're living there, my parents tell me that we're going to move again. So I'm thinking, wow, Virginia Beach area, LA, San Diego, Honolulu, right? That's what I was hoping to hear, but that's not what they said. They said Japan. Yeah, I was like, no. Okay, I'm going to go to Japan. No way, no how, man. But I had no choice. So we moved to Japan, and I immediately went into rebellion mode big time. Big time. And so I looked for the people that were obviously into bad things. Today it's funny because everybody's so PC today. They're like, oh, who am I to say, what this person is or isn't? And I'm like, hello, that dude looks like a weirdo. He probably is a weirdo. Hello. I mean, everybody today is, I don't want to offend. It's like a no-brainer. We've lost common sense today. It's sad. I mean, I can see a girl on the street who's wearing dental floss, right? You're clapping at that. That's awesome. Nobody ever clapped at that. Wow. I mean, when I was a young boy, if I saw a girl that, was basically half naked, it meant she got daddy issues. Okay, that girl was crying out for affirmation. All I got to do is tell her one thing, you're beautiful. I got whatever I want. Right? But today, everybody's like, oh, you can't say. If I saw kids that were wearing, hardcore heavy metal shirts with piercings all over them and all that, chances are they're not praying the rosary, in all likelihood. Probably token up. So that's who I want to be around. So that's who I was drawn to immediately over there. And it got so bad after a period of time that I ran away from home on the big island of Honshu in the middle of Japan. And I caused an international scene. Now, I wasn't employed. I wasn't selling Toyotas, up in Yokohama, okay? I was running with the mafia. Yeah, it was crazy. I was 15 years old. I was only 15. White boy in Japan in the mid-'80s, if you had long hair, and I was growing my hair long at that time, if you were a white dude in Japan in the mid-'80s, you were Bon Jovi, okay? I was a rock star. I mean, I was magnetic. I had little geisha girls coming at me, throwing themselves at me. I mean, it was ridiculous, that culture, at that time. I haven't been back since, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I want to go back, though. I want to do a Back in Black tour, I got it all figured out, That would be so sweet. Just you can hear it now, back. So I am just living this crazy life, and I'm running drugs and money to different casinos for the Yakuza in Japan. That's the mafia. It's hardcore. When you're fully initiated, you get the top half of one or both of your pinkies cut off. They never fully initiate little white boys. But they used me as a drug mule, and I loved it. I thought it was amazing. I had so much money and everything. Well, it was a big problem because I didn't know what was going on, but my parents were fighting, of course, over me. My father was taking heat from his supervised superiors in the Navy, and my mom was having a crisis because of me. I was gone for a long time. My mom was on medication for anxiety, depression, and she was going to a counselor. None of that was healing her maternal brokenness, because there's no pill that's going to alleviate that problem. It can help, maybe, but you're not going to pop a little pill to heal a maternal broken heart. So my mother had a friend in Japan who told her something. Now, what I'm about to tell you, I'm not making fun of this particular culture. I love these people. So don't take it the wrong way, okay? My mom in Japan had a Filipino Catholic friend, okay? If you know anything about these people are the special forces of God, okay? They're the Green Berets in the spiritual life. They would take you down, okay? They conquer countries, these people, so my mom had a Filipino friend who was married to an American GI, you know how it goes. And this woman said to my mom, I would find this out much later, okay? Now, again, no offense. I love salamat po to you and your culture. I love you people, okay? This woman said to my mom, I know what you got to do. You got to talk to Father, right? That's how you sound to a white boy, okay? Your P's and your D's and your F's are a little sketchy. So my mom is 100% Italian. Lucita Bianco is my mother's maiden name. How on earth was she not a Catholic? But she wasn't. So this Filipino woman's trying to get her to talk to a Catholic priest, and she's like, whatever, I'm not going to. But Filipino women don't quit, okay? They will be on you until you do what they tell you to do. So this woman was like, you got to talk to him, right? So my mother's like, fine, whatever. So my mom goes and finds a Catholic chaplain, and she talks to him, and that priest changed my mom's life. He did. He told my mom about Catholicism, hardcore, in-your-face, life-changing Catholicism. And I guess maybe the Catholic DNA in my mother's Italian genes was dormant, and he just was like, on, you know? Because she was like, this is amazing. And so she started to take classes to become a Catholic. And so did her husband, my stepfather, and my half-brother, their son. I didn't know any of that, okay? And had I known, I would have thought they joined a cult. I had drank the Kool-Aid, Jim Jones in it in Uganda. I had no idea what the Catholic Church was, you know, the weirdest thing ever to me. So it's probably good that I didn't know. Well, my mom had to leave the country before she could become a Catholic because I had caused such a scene, they were looking for me. And so my mom moved back to the United States and relocated in Pennsylvania. I didn't know that. And then they apprehended me, they busted me, threw me in the brig, I escaped, they threw me back in, then they handcuffed me to a plane and kicked me out of the country. Literally, a MAC flight. It's a cargo plane in the military, web seating on the sides. I was escorted by 2 MPs, military police officers, from Yokosuka, big base over there, to Honolulu, where they put me on an American Airlines commercial flight to fly to LAX, where they took the handcuffs off, and they released me into the custody of my father. I wasn't 18. They couldn't prosecute me. I hadn't done anything on American soil. It was a tricky situation. So I get into a car with my dad, and we fly first to Pennsylvania, where we're going to see my mom. So we get there. There's my mom, pre-9/11, okay? And I hated her. And I don't even know why. My mom was only 17 when she had me. We were like brother and sister. We grew up together. We'd listen to the same music, everything. That's like, what happened that turned me so hateful to this woman? It's just what the world told me to do. It's them. You know, it's those who tell you what to do and what not to do and tell you to, you know, rules and all that. So I hate her. So at this point in my life, this is what I look like, okay? Now, I'm working on my pride and my ego, but I do carry a big picture of myself all around the world, okay? I do it so you can see it. If I pulled out a wallet size, you wouldn't be able to see it, okay? So that was me at this point, if you can see that, okay? Yeah, not a girl. All my, well, they weren't really girlfriends, but all my friends who were girls, they were jealous because my hair was longer than theirs, you know? So that's what I look like at this point. And there's my mom. She comes up to me exuding motherhood. Donnie, I'm so happy to see you, trying to hug me and kiss me. You know what I did? To my shame, I pushed her away. I looked her in her eyes, and I said to her, I hate your guts. And I broke that woman. She snapped. She started to cry. Oh, my gosh. We get into the car, and I was like, what are we doing? And my dad said, you're going to a rehab. You know what I did? See, in the airport, I stuck the dagger in her heart. In the car, I turned it and ripped her guts out. I said, good, because it'll get me away from you. My mom cried the whole ride. I went to my first rehab. I was there for 3 months. It was a joke. I hate to break this to you. I really do. I take no pleasure in saying this. But studies have been shown that 92% of all modern secular rehabs almost have a 100% failure rate. Seriously. What? Why? Because it's a Band-Aid to a spiritual problem. Seriously. So I went in thinking I was just an erect monkey, right? And all they wanted to do was make me a sober monkey. Whoop-de-doo. If that's what all your offering is, I mean, sobriety is good. It's good. It's good. Okay? But if that's all you got, if that's all your PhD from this prestigious university is helping people to achieve, that's pretty lame, dude. You got school debt for the next 30 years just trying to tell people to be a sober monkey? Wow. Loser, right? I was like, that's all you got. So if I didn't cooperate with the program, which I didn't, which meant basically I'd refused to take their medicine in the Dixie cup, and most times they had no idea what they were doing. If that medicine didn't work, they tried another one, or they upped the milligrams, or we gathered in small group. To this day, when I hear small group, I'm like, you right? It's like you gather around in affirmation circles and sing Kumbaya and affirm the person on your left, you know, and then you go out in the woods and play jungle gym and have team building experiences where, can I fall back in your arms and build up trust? Wow, this will really make me a better human being. It was a joke, right? Fun. Who doesn't like to swing from trees, you know? But 3 months of that. I learned how to do more drugs in the rehab. I was scandalized by the people in the rehab. The counselors with their masters and doctorates, you know, they didn't know what they were doing. I'm not kidding. And they were just as messed up as I was. Oh, maybe they weren't toking it up and they got kicked out of a foreign country, but they were perverse, sick, twisted people. Did they not think I could see what kind of bumper stickers they had on their cars in the employee parking lot? Did the dudes in there who were the counselors not think that I heard in employee lounge how they talked about the backside of the female counselors? You think I can't hear that? Yeah, I heard it. And you guys should be in here too, according to your little method. Okay, I'm just a monkey who got caught. You guys are just out there getting a paycheck. okay, doing this stuff. So when I got out of there, I went to my parents' house, and guess what my mom said to me? Crazy stuff. She said, Donnie, while you were away, your father and I became Catholic. Yay. Okay. And I'm supposed to be happy about this? So she's like, come to church with us. I'm like, you're high. You know, you're to church with you talking about, you're a Christian? I was so ignorant. I didn't know a Catholic was a Christian. That's how dumb I was. So when she said that, I'm like, heck no, I'm not going to your church. You're nuts. And I didn't have to go to church because my mom turned that house into a church, okay? She had figurines, that's what I thought they were, right? Of some ripped, buff-looking thing, an alien of sorts, wings, but he had like a six-pack. He was ripped with a pitchfork, stabbing some creature in the face, you know? She had little ones, medium-sized, gigantic ones all over the house. And she would put these things under my pillow. Yeah, trying to convert me through osmosis, you know, just touch it. And I read it one time, and it said St. Michael the Archangel, and I ripped that thing up. I'm like, Mom's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, man. This is crazy. This is a cult. These people are weird. So I couldn't stay in their house. So I left. I ended up following the Grateful Dead, old hippie band, got a tattoo called Steer Your Face, and I was all over the place going to these shows, doing acid and mushrooms and you name it, right? I was gone. I was fried, perpetually fried. Until I woke up in Philadelphia strapped to a gurney because I was smoking so much crack and doing so much heroin, my chest was about to explode. My heart was about to basically give out. I went to my second rehab. It's also a psychological institute. It's a lockdown padded facility. So I'm there for 3 months. Didn't work. I get out. I go to my parents' house. Guess what they're doing now? My mom, my dad are going to church every day. Lunatics. I'm like, what? Who does this? I mean, it's bad enough these jokers go once or twice a year, maybe Sundays every day. This is embarrassing. And they were super into it. And I'm like, you guys are nuts, man. So I'm out of here. I couldn't stay with them. I was doing my own thing again until I, this time, ended up in jail in Louisiana, busted stealing from a store called Piggly Wiggly. They exist, okay? I wish I had a little more manly crime on my rap sheet, but, you know, it is what it is. So I get out of there, and I don't go to my court date. I'm not interested in your rules and regulations, you know. So I go back, and I find Papa Croc. Remember my biological father? My mom always told me, stay away from him. He's a bad man. So I'm like, well, now would be a time to get reacquainted with, you know, this dude, because I'm running from the law. And so I go, and I meet him, and he lives in West Virginia. Now, I know I'm close to West Virginia kind of here. Anybody from West Virginia here? Okay, I better be careful then. All right. Okay, how do I say this? Okay, so I got people in West Virginia, okay? It's different. No offense. But I got people there, relatives, I think they speak English, okay? If you think you know redneck, you don't know redneck, okay? You go visit some of my relatives back in the hollows of West Virginia, it's like, dang, you know, no offense. These are my people, okay? I love West Virginia, but it's different. So when I met my biological father for the first time, really, because they separated when I was a little baby, we were like, yikes, you know, because he was like hee-haw, I mean, banjo in it. I mean, he was like, wow, deliverance, you know. It was like, dang, dude, you're my dad. And then he met me, and I was this long-haired freak who was trying to smoke his corn, you know. And he's like, okay. His new wife didn't want me in the house, understandable, so they let me live on their land, because in West Virginia, what you buy here, you can buy a mountain in West Virginia, you know. And so they owned so much property. I lived out on their property till my supplies ran out. I came back, and then I went back to my mom's house, and they had moved again back to Norfolk, Virginia. 10 years had gone by since we had lived there. So I go back to my mom's house, because I'm hitchhiking around, and I had nowhere to go, and my life was crazy. And that's when things happened. I mean, in a huge way. Oh, my goodness. One night, I'm sitting in their house. They didn't even have a bed for me, because I wasn't there much. There was a love seat. And I'm thinking about taking my own life. A lot of my friends did that. They checked out. Or they took so much acid that they're here, but they ain't here, okay? Like my uncle in Cleveland, Denny, he sits in a halfway house. He drools all over his chin all day. He doesn't know his nose from his toe because he fried himself with stuff. So he's here, but he ain't here. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to do this too. I'm checking out, man. I'm out of here. Life is horrible. I got no ambitions, career options, possibilities for future. You know, this is horrible. Because all I was ever told was this is a cosmic rock, comes from nowhere, going nowhere, and we're all just a bunch of monkeys. Just get your banana, have your fun, game over, okay? So as I'm thinking about this, I got bored real quick. I go out into the hallway to look at a National Geographic. My friends are wasted on a beach at at that point. And this is what I heard in the room that night. You're going to hear it exactly. Nothing. Absolute silence. Because I was used to video games, music, TV, activities. The silence freaked me out. So I went out to the hallway to get that magazine and look at pictures of monkeys and maps of Viking conquest or something. And I pull out this yellow book, because it looks like a National Geographic, because it's yellow, but it's not one. But it says something weird. It says, "The Queen of Peace visits Medjugorje. What is that? I have no idea. So I pull it out, and I see some babushka-looking lady barefoot on a rocky mountain. I'm like, get some shoes, Grandma. What is up with that? That makes no sense to me. But there's a cross on the cover, so I'm like, Christianity. The dork manual, right? This is what suckered my parents probably into becoming one of these idiots who goes to church every day, and So I'm like, let's see what they're into. So I go into the room, I sit down, I start to read it. I don't get it. There's language. I'm like, give me a vowel. I was like, what is this? What are the names of these cities, dude? So I look at the pictures, and there's like 6 little kids on their knees in front of a pile of necklaces, looking up at the air like they had just smoked a big old blunt. They were like, oh, hey, no idea. What are they looking at? So one of the girls, I thought her name was Marijuana, because that's what it looked like. Her name looked like marijuana, Mariana, marijuana, what is that? So then one of them said, now don't freak on me and write the Pope. I'm not the magisterium. I don't declare if these things are authentic or not. I'm just telling you what happened to me. So I'm making my way through this, and one of the pictures said, the little children are now seeing the Blessed Virgin Mary. I'm like, they're seeing a what? What's a Blessed Virgin Mary? You know what I mean? I had no idea what that was, let alone who it was. I was ignorant. In childhood, never once was the preacher man between Scooby-Doo and Popeye talking about the mother of Jesus. Never, ever heard that Jesus had a mother, because myths don't have mothers. Cartoons and fairy tales don't have moms. So this is like, huh? What? So I start to read this, and I'm blown away by what I'm reading. I'm like, what? Comes from heaven in a clap of thunder, and she smells like roses. What is going on here? I mean, what are these kids on, But I couldn't put the book down. See, God knew what to do to a broke man. I'm a dude, right? I've grown up in a culture that's messed up, jacked up. God knew what to do. He baited me with beauty. You start talking about a beautiful woman that smells like roses and makes little kids cry on their knees. Who? Right? Who's that? God knew what to do. I'm convinced that Jesus could have appeared to me that night in the room himself, and I would have shooed away the phantasm. Go away, I'm having a bad psychological moment. They told me this would happen, right? But for a wounded guy, if you put a woman in his life, it has a possibility of transforming. Everybody knows this. You know this. Probably the reason that your husband has become a better man is because you married him, okay? Because most of us men, we are lame. Seriously, we are. And even for my brother priest, every priest needs a woman in his life. Her name is Mary, right? She helps him to become an officer and a gentleman, a warrior and a soldier and a knight and a saint. Without her, it's not going to happen. So I'm like, this thing is just rocking my world, this book. I read the whole book in one night. So I closed the book. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning. My mom comes down the stairs. It's a duplex. And I try and formulate to her this. I couldn't do it. To say a need to my mother, and a churchy one, the ultimate death, okay? But I had to do it. I said, Mom, I got to talk to a Catholic priest. You know what she said to me? We joke about this to this day. My mom looks right at me and she goes, yeah, right. Thought I was joking. I got that book and I said, what the heck is this, man? She goes, you read that? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, she ran to the phone. I heard her punch in 7 digits and have a conversation with some dude where she was like, no, Father, no, please, right? She tried another one. It didn't work. So I said to her, isn't there one of those things? So I, of my own free will, ran over to this Catholic church, okay, because I knew it was there. Norfolk Naval Air Station, largest naval facility in the world, at that time had 2 Catholic chapels on the base. Now it only has 1, but then it had 2. One was right inside the main gate, so I knew it was there. So I ran over to it, funky, with all my psychedelic stuff on. You could have got a contact high if you stood close enough to me. I was something to see. So I go there, and I wait for a break in traffic. I go in, the door slams behind me. Oh, no, I'm skipping ahead. That's not what happened. I wanted to go in, but there was traffic. It couldn't be public. So I saw another building that said chaplain's office. So I go over there, I walk in, it's like 6:15 in the morning or something, and here I am looking like this, okay, on a military installation, and I yell out, "Catholic priest!" Now, why did I do that? Because in that book, that mystical woman who smelled like roses, saying she's the mother of God, that she said, if you want peace, you have to go to a Catholic priest and confess your sins. So I'm like, chaplain's office, I'm like, Catholic priest. So I yell it out, and all these heads pop out of cubicles, and they're like, oh. Nobody wanted to approach me. I'm like, hello, I see you. I'm like, you know what I mean? So they're all in the white Navy uniform with a cup of coffee. It's early in the morning. Finally, one dude has the courage to approach me, and he's like, can I help you? And I'm like, yeah, I need a Catholic priest. So he goes and gets another dude dressed in white with a cup of coffee, and he comes over and he goes, hi, I'm Father John. Whatever, I'm like, so you do God stuff, man? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, get it out. And he's like, excuse me? And I'm like, get it out. Like, do whatever you got to do. Because in my mind, Christianity is, this guy is going to go, be healed in the name of Jesus, right? And I'm going to foam with the mouth. I'm going to get up and do a little glory freedom jig. I've been saved. That's Christianity to me, okay? I don't know any other version. That's what I've seen on TV. So he's like, look, don't make a scene. Relax, And I'm like, well, dude, what are you doing, right? And he's like, look, let's go talk. So we go to his little cubicle. And I scared that man. He pulled his chair like halfway out into the hallway. Yeah, I was familiar with that look. So I got one. I think he's legit. I'm not sure. He doesn't seem too confident. But I'm like, all right, dude. So I start to tell him what I think are sins. I'm not exactly sure. Sin meant good times to me. Rock and roll, baby. Let's do this, right? So all of a sudden, this woman in the book said that sin is bad. So I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to tell this dude filthy, disgusting, sick things. So bad I can't even look him in the face. I'm ashamed of what I'm telling this dude. And I got my head down. I'm staring at the carpet, and I'm telling him this stuff. And I don't hear nothing back. I look up, and he's like, you did what? I was like, oh, yeah, that was when I was 12, I was going to bring him up to date. So he goes, okay, hold on. We got to do this right. He goes, in the name of the Father. And I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? He goes, well, you're going to go to confession. I'm like, yeah, that's right. So he goes, when's the last time you went? I don't know. And he goes, reconciliation, it's been a year, 5 years, 10 years, I'm like, dude, I don't know. He goes, well, you're a Catholic, right? And I'm like, oh, heck no, dude. So he got upset. He was like, well, you can't do this. This is a sacrament. You have to be Catholic. I'm like, I don't know. I said, that woman in that book. And he's like, what woman in the book? And I'm like, the mother of Jesus. Did you know he had a mom, dude? Right? And he's looking at me like, oh, boy, And so I'm like, dude, this is rocking me, dude. I don't know what to tell you, but I got some jacked up stuff, man. So I need your help. So he goes, okay, look, I got to go celebrate Mass. No, I'm not a Catholic. That dude just told me that he's going to go rejoice and celebrate neutrons and protons. He's going to go celebrate air. We're going to celebrate Mass. Yeah. Dig it, man. What is that? So I'm like a deer in headlights. So he goes, you don't know what that is? I'm like, no. So he goes, okay, did you know where the chapel is? I said, yeah. He says, go over there, and I'll be over in a little bit, and when I'm done, we'll meet back here. And I'm like, really? And he was like, yeah. And I said to him, I said, and you're not going to call the cops, man? Because I just told him stuff that was sinful, I guess, but criminal as well. So I was like, don't bust me, man, So before I leave the facility, he says to me as I'm walking away, hey, do me a favor. When you go in, sit in the back, okay? That's what he said to me. I understand. So I go over there. I wait for a break in traffic. I go in. The door slams behind me. Guess who's in the church? Oh, no. 5 Filipino women. 5. I'm dead meat. I'm a goner, man. 1 took down my whole family, okay? You couldn't get me to the back fast enough. Are you kidding me? I went to the back. I was like, oh, my gosh. And it was only them. They were up front. I was like, nobody else in there. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe I'm in a church. And then all of a sudden, one of these women, because wherever there's Filipinos, and women in particular, there's always one self-appointed matriarch who tells everybody else what you got to do. You got to do, right? That's just how it works, okay? Trust me, I know. I've been to the Philippines many times. So this woman goes up to something, fires up some candles below some boat. It's a naval chapel. I don't know, you know. And then she goes back to her seat. She pulls out a necklace. Mine's in my bag. I usually have my pocket. So she pulls out this necklace, and the other ones pull out their necklace, and they start some incantation to the boat. That's what long-haired white boy in the back sees, okay? All I see is that, and all I hear is this. Again, no offense. Love you people, okay? This is what I heard in the back. Hail Mary, what is that, right? That's what she said. And then the other four were like, Holy Mary, amen. What? Like sold to the highest bidder. You know, what is going on in here? Crazy. Incomprehensible. And they're mock speeding through this thing. They're flying through this thing. I have no idea what they're doing. And all of a sudden, that woman, she turns around to me. She holds up her necklace, and she jingles it, and she yells across the pews to me. And she goes, young man, would you like to pray the next decade, please? The next decade. Okay. It's true I dropped out of school. I'm not educated, but I'm not stupid. Decade means 10 years. Right? Right. So I'm like, what? So she tries to clarify. She goes, it's the second sorrowful mystery. I have no idea what she's doing, but in my mind, I'm thinking, ooh, you're going down, sister, with your little Wiccan coven in here. When that priest comes, because I'm thinking they don't know that the priest is about to come in here. Ooh, it's gonna get real, you know, because they're doing this ain't church. That's what I'm thinking. This ain't good. So I'm waiting for him to come in, just wield the sickle, man, just come in and start get the beat down, right? But this thing takes forever, and I'm like, what are they doing, right? And then that priest comes in, but now he's dressed in a robe with the flower on the front, and just weird. So he comes over, he says, good morning, you know, and then he does all kind of weird stuff up at that thing where she fired up the candles, and the microphone sounded like this. This is what I heard. In the name, Spirit, alarm. It was like Charlie Brown Church. I'm like, what? Couldn't even understand what he was saying. And then he goes over to some other thing, and whatever he did, they did. So if he got up to something that looked like this, and he goes, a reading from the Holy, and they were like, baklai, you know. It was like a big choreographed show. I'm like, whoa, like, how are they doing that? You know, what is going on here? I was just sitting there, but whenever he stood, they stood, sat, weird. So then he goes over to that thing, I didn't know what it was, and he picks up a little white circle about that big. And there was a microphone there that worked, thank God. And he bends over and he says this. This is, to this day, the most amazing thing I've ever heard come out of the mouth of a man, okay? Never heard anything like it, and never will. He bends over and he says, take this, all of you, and eat it. This is my body. I'm in the back like, you a lunatic, Jack? What? That dude just told us that that's his body, that's what he said, and we got to eat it. And then he like showcased it. He's like, ta-da, you know. I'm like, what? The women, they're like, yeah, you know, they're all into it. I'm like, this is a nut house. These people are nuts. And then it was as though time stopped. It's as though somebody came in and pressed pause in the room, and he was standing there. He stood there for a really long time. You know what happened next? No, I'm not Padre Pio. I'm not a mystic. It was a gift. I heard a voice. It wasn't a flashback from the LSD days. This voice said to me, not to my ear, it said to me, worship. And then, this is the only way I can explain what happened next. I got injected with knowledge. I knew what that man had in his hands was God. I didn't know terminology, Blessed Sacrament, Holy Communion, clueless, right? I knew that was God. I knew it. He put down God. He picked up that really sweet-looking medieval goblet. I didn't know what it was. And he said, take this, all of you, and drink from it. This is my blood. And he lifted it up. You know what happened again? Worship. Knowledge. I knew what that man had in his hands was God. I knew it. Then I saw this. That was the most amazing thing I've ever heard to this day. Now I was going to see the most amazing thing I've ever seen. That dude got up. He came down. They got up. They met like right here. And I saw that man hold up a little circle, God, and I heard him say to each one by one, the body of Christ. What the voice said was true. He didn't say, my body. He said the body of Christ. That's what the voice told me. It's God. It really is. And then you know what I saw? I saw that man put God inside them. I saw it. And then he came up and he got the chalice and he came down and he said, the blood of Christ, one by one I saw them drink it. Do you know what was happening to me at like Mach speed? Knowledge. I thought it was going to explode because I've been here, man. I've been here so many times. At dead shows, when I would put something on my tongue, looking for meaning, for happiness, where love never fades away, where Jerry would squeeze that note and take us to the cosmos. I wanted meaning. I wanted purpose. I wanted more than being called a monkey. I wanted it. And I've been here, man. I had drank from that cup so many times. Just not Holy Communion. I'd taken the communion that the world offers you, because it will offer you a false version of communion as you strive for happiness. And I had been searching for so long, and all of a sudden I was realizing that this is the absolute last place I thought I would ever find it. A Catholic church? This is some medieval, outdated, antiquated institution that's against science and hates women. This is an oppressive institution. That's what I thought. And all of a sudden, I'm realizing that I'm wrong, that I've been lied to my whole life. And the thing that I was running from was the place that was actually going to give me true freedom and meaning and purpose. I realized I was in a church, yeah, for sure. But see, I've been to hospitals a lot. I get kidney stones like every 2 to 3 years. You wouldn't talk about somebody who's begging for death or drugs, okay? I forget I'm a Christian when I get a kidney stone. It's insane. If you ever get a kidney stone, you know what I'm talking about, okay? Women who have had a baby and a kidney stone prefer a baby, okay? It's unbelievable pain. So I've been to hospitals, I've broken things, cracked this, sprained this, fractured this, you know. I was in God's hospital. I knew I was in God's hospital. I've been in rehabs, 2 of them. I knew I was in God's rehab. This thing was God's rehab. That stuff was medicine that dude was dishing out to them. Godly medicine. God himself. I knew it. I went to that priest, and I shocked that dude. He was like, what? And I said, you didn't hear it? You didn't hear that voice? And he was like, no. And I'm like, dude, what is going on? He's like, okay, whoa. I got a full day ahead of me. You need to go home. So I was like, what do I do? And so he gave me 3 things from his wall: a crucifix, a painting of Jesus, and a portrait of his grandpa. Yeah. Some pudgy-looking little dude with a white hat, looked like he'd eaten 1 too many pierogies. Okay, I didn't know who he was. I wasn't up on these things, but I was like, I got to shut up and obey this dude. So I took these 3 things back to my parents' house, threw away everything in the room, hung up Jesus, and Grandpa. It was John Paul II, of course, but I didn't know that, right? So, and I'm like, what do? He said, come back tomorrow. I could royally jack this whole thing up with 1 phone call. If somebody calls me and says, we got an 8-ball, let's meet by the pier, I'm out of here, right? So I wasn't strong. So I'm like, I got to get that book. What are those kids doing? So I imitated those kids, fake it till you make it. I got down on the floor, I put my hands like this, and I tried to pray to somebody I'm about to talk to somebody I can't see. I've either become a lunatic or I just got religion in a very real way. I'm about to communicate with somebody I can't even see. So I did. The picture of Jesus was above my dresser. And I lost it. I started to cry like a human being can't cry. Oh my gosh, it was therapy. It really was. It was divine detox is what it was. See, all God wanted from me was humility, just enough. I didn't have to say a poetic prayer and come at him with all my merit badges. I had to get before him and just say, my life is horrible, man. And I think you're real, and I need you. And he came like a fire hydrant. Oh my gosh. I started to cry like a human being can't cry. I had fluid coming out of my face, my eye sockets pouring off my chin. And then it turned into something weird, like what I call divine romance. Really weird. Like God took me into the inner honeymoon chamber of love and romanced my soul, my emotions, my memory. Everything was just, oh my gosh, it was unbelievable. I got up from that experience. I laid down in the love seat. The whole day had gone by. I could tuck into the love seat. Guess what happened next? I pray this doesn't happen to you. You might need it, I don't know, but probably your husband or your son does. Guess who came into the room? Satan. So I didn't believe in the devil. Lucifer, come on. We celebrate that as a culture. We dress our kids up like goblins and witches and send them to the neighbors to get candy. Good times, right? We laugh at this stuff today. We think it's funny. We watch shows called Lucifer, although it's no longer on TV. It was knocked off, thank the Lord. But Ouija boards, nobody thinks any of this stuff. We entertain ourselves with this stuff today. So I was like, I didn't believe in that. All of a sudden, there was a creature starting to manifest himself in the room, couldn't deny it, and wanted me. I wasn't a Satanist. I never went to a pentagram service and slashed a chicken's throat and sprinkled blood on myself. I never did anything like that, right? Didn't matter. I used to listen to music that was really bad. I dabbled in stuff that was really bad, not even believe in it, right? But it doesn't matter if you believe it. You don't see the wind, but you'd be a fool to deny that it's not there, okay? So all of a sudden, Satan came back to claim what he thought was his own, me. And what could I do? What could I do? I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified because there was a creature in the room who was much stronger than I on a physical level. What am I going to do? Punch the devil? What is this going to do against the devil? Nothing. So you know what I did? From my soul, I gathered up a cry and I threw it into the heavens. I screamed out from my soul, Mary! That woman had brought me to Jesus. You know what happened next? Satan was annihilated. I am talking obliterated. Absolutely gone from the room. And then I heard another voice, and I'll wrap it up with this. I heard another voice, okay? Now, I'm not a mystic. Don't go claiming Father gets visions. I do not, okay? But I would die to hear this voice again. I heard a woman's voice, the most pure, pristine, feminine voice ever. And it wasn't spoken to my ear. It was spoken to me. I don't even know how to explain that to you. And the voice was like liquid love trickling over my soul. And the voice said, Donnie, I'm so happy. Nobody calls me Donnie but my mom. Nobody. Nobody. If anybody else tries to call me Donnie, I get disturbed by that. That's a diminutive. It's a term of endearment, especially if a dude does it. I'm like, yo, back off, homie. You don't do that, okay? Who is this? My mom is somewhere in the house doing whatever. I knew who it was. By calling me that, this woman is telling me that she's my mother. It's a mother I just never knew. It was the mother of Jesus Christ. I went to sleep that night like a little baby, safe, secure, tucked up against his mother's breast. Not even Satan could touch me because I was in the arms of Mary. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. The next morning I wake up, I go to the priest, and I tell him, sign me up. Sign me up. He's like, what? And I'm like, I want to be a Catholic. You know what he said to me? No. I didn't expect that. I thought it would be like, saved a soul today, yay, you know. He's like, no, it's a process. You got to, you were baptized. Okay, that's valid, I guess. We'll have to look into it. But it's like 6 to 9 months. I'm like, 6 to 9 months? You kidding me? He goes, take it or leave it. That's how it works. There's classes like every week or every other week. And I'm like, what? So I was like, all right. Put me on the list, man. When Tuesdays at 7, whatever. Okay, fine, I'll be there. So I went back, and I fell in love with, oh my gosh, everything about Catholicism. And I became the project of the little Filipino ladies, okay? They had me decked out with a green, blue, red, brown scapular. You could shoot me a point blank, it would not penetrate. I was like the devotion king. Like, women in Manila, when they're born, they're issued like a novena, okay? To Our Lady of Antipolo, Our Lady of Peña Francia, Our Lady of something, okay? They are the most novena praying people on the planet. So I was stacked up with novenas. They taught me how to do the Stations of the Cross, but they never told me you do it once. I would like NASCAR that sucker. I'd just keep going around, man, lapping that thing till I got tired and took a nap. And I didn't know what to do with my life. I got a job, which was good. I cut my hair. I got normal human being clothes. And one of these Filipino women, this is classic Filipino, she comes up to me and she goes, you should become a father, you should become a priest, the young people need a priest like you. And I'm like, oh, Vi, thank you so much, but Vi, look, you've seen me. I didn't tell everybody my past, okay? I was cautious with it. But I said, you see me going to Mass every day. My lunch break, I would go to Mass. But I said, you see me not going to communion. And she goes, oh, yes, I was wondering about that. And I'm like, well, I said, Vi, the thing is I'm becoming a Catholic, but I'm not yet. So she goes, oh, okay, so if you don't become a father, I have a beautiful daughter. Oh, no. Been down that road many times. Okay, I'm good. I'm good. So I kept praying, and that's when the Lord instilled in my heart a desire to be a priest. And so I looked, and I went, and it's a long story. You have to read it in the books, watch the YouTube things and all that. But I had to study for 10 years. Now I've been a priest for 16 years. I write books. I lead pilgrimages, which I want to let you know about. At my table is where they'll be at. I lead 3 or 4 pilgrimages a year now to shrines all over the world. This is part of my ministry. My mom goes on half of them. So if you want to meet St. Monica, okay, my mom, come on one of these pilgrimages with us. So I'll hand those out at my thing. I got books to sell, and I'm going to be praying for you because I know that this is awesome, but in all likelihood, you're going back to maybe a marriage that ain't perfect, maybe children who hate the church and ridicule it and think that you're the craziest person on this planet because you keep doing this. Your prayers mean something to God, to Our Lady. You keep praying those rosaries. You keep doing those fasts, those penances, those devotions, because they're serious. God has His timing. He wants to drain every drop of sacrificial love from your heart. You gave birth to your children once, and it was painful, they tell me. 9 months, you were throwing up in the morning. To give birth to them spiritually, it's going to last a lot longer than 9 months, and your heart is going to be pierced like Our Lady, and you are going to spiritually bleed, but it's worth it. My mom is the most happiest woman on this planet right now because of what's happened in our family's life. I'm going to pray for you, ladies, and please pray for me and my brother priest. And don't forget, Consecration to St. Joseph with Father Calloway. That's the blog. God bless you, ladies. Thank you so much.
Okay, round 2. Ready? No, just kidding. What a day, what a day. And I have to say, you guys did great with responding to the consecration to St. Joseph that I mentioned. And I'll tell you what I mean. Bishop, earlier this morning, I was telling the ladies that I've written a new book. It won't be out for 10 months. I write books too fast. My community says, slow it down. The press can't keep up with you. So this book, Consecration to St. Joseph, is coming out next year, and it's going to be the first worldwide movement of consecration to St. Joseph. So I've been at big events lately. I was at a huge men's conference. They had 1,100 men at this thing in South Bend. It wasn't at Notre Dame, but it was at South Bend. And so I told those guys, I said, guys, especially for men, right? I said, this thing's coming in 10 months. I've started this Facebook blog to get people ready. Brothers, go on there. Consecration to St. Joseph with Father Calloway. 1,100 of you. This is an army of men. 1,100. Guess how many responded? 28. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, 28? What's that? So last week, I was at a women's conference in Omaha, right? And there was about 700 women there, and I think I got about 60 or something like that. Yeah. Now, a lot of people don't have Facebook, and I get that. I actually understand that. Okay. But already today I looked, during the lunch break, I was like, let's check them out. Let's see what these Virginia ladies can do. Oh, you did good. You did good. Like, it looks like a lot of you are liking that. And that's great because every day, as I said, for the next 10 months, it's going to wear me out. But I'm going to post something every day to get people ready for the book because it's going to be revolutionary. It's going to be amazing. And I really do feel that right now in our church, we need St. Joseph because we've done the Marian consecrations, right? That's great. That's awesome. We need to do that. Continue to do that, okay? But right now, the families are under attack. And when the family's under attack, who comes to the defense of the family? Dad. Okay, the father. And we've got St. Joseph, and we've got to kind of change our understanding of St. Joseph. A lot of times people see him as an old man with a beard, with a cane, like almost basically an invalid. It's like, there's a reason for that, because people a long time ago jacked it up with apocryphal gospels and such, but the church has had no teaching on the age of St. Joseph, none. But as Mother Angelica said, old men don't walk to Egypt, okay? They did a lot of walking back in those days, So all that stuff is going to be in my book. So many amazing things about those. So pray for me for that book because it's going to be something else. I really feel that now is the time of St. Joseph. We need him. He's the terror of demons. He's the head of the Holy Family. He's the protector of the church. For priests, especially for priests, for bishops, we need St. Joseph right now to help us to get out of the mess that the world and the church are in right now. And St. Joseph can do that, and he will do it. But we need to ask him. Okay. Then also, remember, a lot of you have been asking me about the pilgrimages, and you're so funny. Because you come up to me and you go, Father, do you go? Yeah. I don't take your money and put you on a plane. See ya. Good luck with that. No, I go with you. I go on each one. That's part of my ministry that I do. And so my provincial superiors give me permission to do this, and so I lead 3 or 4 pilgrimages a year, and we have such a great time. Now, because you're ladies, to men this doesn't mean anything, okay? But when you go home, you're going to go to the website for the pilgrimages, and you're going to see one thing, and you're going to be tripping out, and you're not going to scroll down and see all the rest of the other ones. Because in April, I'm going to the Holy Land with Jim Caviezel. Yeah. All the ladies are like, oh. He's married, okay? And probably so are you. So I think it's actually his wife is coming just to protect him. You know, it's like, keep an eye on you. But it's funny, I've never met Jim Caviezel, but they asked me to be the spiritual director for this pilgrimage, and that's going to be amazing, right? But that one's already booked and everything. So when you go to the website, keep scrolling. Don't just stare at Jim Caviezel. Okay, keep going down. I got a lot more. But it's funny because when we get to the Holy Land, especially the Sea of Galilee, I'm tempted to go up to him and go, all right, let's see what you got, man. We'll see. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe. I'm weird like that, but it's going to be great. So please check those out, because if you've ever thought about going on a pilgrimage, I do amazing ones like Poland. How many of you have been to Poland? Oh. How many of you have not been to Poland? That's like most of you. This country is a saint-making machine. It's like unbelievable. Poland is one of my favorite places. If I could live somewhere else, although it doesn't have an ocean, well, it has the north stuff, but not the greatest waves to surf. But Poland is so amazing. The people, the culture, everything is just so amazing. If you ever want to go on a pilgrimage, whether you go with me or not, definitely put Poland on your list, because it is just unbelievable. In my opinion, it's almost like the last great hope of Europe, really and truly. You go over there, nuns, real nuns, are a dime a dozen. I mean, they're cranking out nuns like it's crazy. You go over there, and I found myself in the middle of a Eucharistic procession in Krakow, and I was just going to have a pierogi, you know. And all of a sudden, there's bishops walking by. There's all these nuns and priests, and I'm like, what is going on? And they said, oh, it's a procession for this church. It's their patron's day. And I'm like, my goodness, it looked like the World's Fair. It was unbelievable, you know, just incredible. So pray about those things, okay? And remember, I'm going to be praying for you, because as I said in my talk, I know that it's hard. It's very hard right now. And especially we men, we tend to be rather hard-hearted and emotionally distant from things. And so when the children go astray, you know, we're just like, you know, what's for dinner? You know, you are much better than us, okay? The majority of the people at the foot of the cross were not men. They were women, okay? You have a gift. You have an ability to suffer through things, and God will use your heart in ways like He used Our Lady's heart, like a spiritual womb, and your suffering will be great. You know, as I said earlier, 9 months you suffered to give birth to those children through your physical body, and it hurt. You were vomiting in the morning, and it was difficult. But God wants to use you now in that sacrificial heart where, you know, when your children tell you that they don't love you, or they hate you and your religion, and why do you waste time going to church and doing all these things? It stings. Remember, I did that to my own mother back in the day, and I broke her heart. You keep praying. You keep praying those rosaries, those novenas, and your devotions to the saints that you love. You keep that up, because God hears you. Your tears are not meaningless. If you're suffering through a difficult marriage, and as I said, remember earlier, I said, I'm not Padre Pio, I don't read souls, so don't panic, you know, I don't know your situation. But sure enough, tons of you came up to me after that talk and said, Father, you were talking about me, that's my marriage, you know, that's... Yeah, I know, it's tough out there. So you keep praying, because you, women, are the heart of society. You are the heart of the world. You are the heart of the church in many ways, right? Every home, the woman is the heart of that. And so we need you. We need the gift of your femininity. We need the wonder, the blessedness of motherhood today, because it's so under attack and misunderstood. But you good ladies, you can help. You can do so much good for the world, for your parishes, for the diocese, for lost souls like me. See, next time you walk on the street, you never know what could become of that bum. You don't. You just don't. You know, I saw a fellow, you know, you probably saw him too, when we went to church today. Did you see that gentleman outside? You don't know what could become of him. I'm the last person anybody ever thought would be a priest. You know, I mean, you just never know what God can do in the life of a soul. So your prayers have meaning. They have power. They can change the world. They can change the world. So I'm going to be praying for you. And I know my brother priest, and I'm certain that your good bishop here is sacrificing, is committed to helping you in every way. And please pray for us too. Because we priests, we need it today. It's not easy to be a priest. We get ridiculed, we get mocked, and boy, let me tell you what it's like to walk through an airport with one of these around your neck. Really? I mean, a lot of people are like, they're glad I'm on their plane, to be honest with you. They think it's not going to crash, but no guarantees, you know. But a lot of people, their looks are not kind, some of them. They've seen a lot of TV, and they think that, you know, I'm a bad guy. And so it can hurt. So pray for us. We need your prayers. We need your support. And we need your love. So, my friends, I think I'm going to invite the good bishop up. Or are you going to do it? You're going to do it. Oh, you're going to lie? Oh, I thought we were done. Okay, I'm out of here. All right. I got to catch a plane. So, ladies, thank you so much for being who you are, and God bless you.